So we tested the OPUS RUF. We picked an indicator to implement, to test, but you will see that is in the end actual implementation. And it is around introducing DMPs, data management plans, into a major funding instrument at the national level in Romania. This came in a very good timing. So the project came in a very good timing when we had to indeed to implement a national strategy regarding open science. And these are the first steps in implementing that strategy, which says that we should have mandatory DMP plans for publicly funded research. And we tested this in, as I said, in a funding program, a major one, which has a high budget of 320 million euros. The program is for the first time launched in Romania. And the evaluation phase has just ended, and in the end will be funded around 20-24 projects. This will have a duration of 4 or 5 years, and their duration could be extended to up to 2 years. So as I said, the main interventions were around implementing these new requirements and evaluation criteria in this funding instrument. And for that, we had to introduce these requirements in the information packages for the funding instrument. And this raised a lot of challenges because so at the institutional level, we were not used to this type of requirements. The staff wasn't really ready to implement open science related requirements. We had to do some work of raising awareness at the level of our staff, management, and also the ministry again, the ministry which approved a national strategy, but they had to be informed on how these really affect the funding streams. And yeah, just to mention that we are a national funding agency, but we are not fully autonomous, so we depend on the ministerial decision on what to fund. So that's why we had to have them on board in order to implement these. Around this, there were policy interventions, also resource-related interventions like developing a DMP template or adapting one. That's what we did in the end. We used the Horizon Europe template, the Science Europe guidelines on that, and we adapted the templates and guidelines to provide resources in support for researchers and in support of our staff. So these resources are guidelines, a blueprint for researchers, and a guideline which was translated based on the Science Europe guideline for the revision of the DMPs by the staff at our institution. We also provided examples of DMPs. We searched for open DMPs, also to support researchers who, to be honest, are overburdened, yes, by this one requirement. And also, as I said, a lot of awareness had to be done. And we organized a national conference on the topics of research assessment and open science. And we did sessions of institutional awareness, as I already said. And we organized hands-on meetings with our staff to discuss specific challenges related to implementing these new requirements. In June, we also had a nationwide webinar for researchers on the topic of DMP. It was a training session, and we had participants, a lot of participants engaged in the topic, so they are interested, they need support. The indicator which we accomplished in OPUS is fair DMPs being developed, but with regards to the DMPs really developed in the projects, in the successful projects, we will have those results after the project ends, because the evaluation of the projects, as I said, just ended. So the key outcome of this pilot was that we really implemented. So it's an implementation. We tested it first, but now it's implemented in a major funding instrument, and the awareness raising. And this is a success, a big success, led to the extension of these requirements and open science requirements to other funding instruments. We are discussing that these practices, these requirements might become the standard for the future funding programs. I mentioned some challenges, and I'll synthesize on others. We had to integrate for the first time this requirement. So this led to intervention in our internal processes. We needed to, of course, to raise awareness, but really working hands-on on the processes, including IT updates, discussing future IT updates. And there was a challenge in understanding the open science indicators. So my institution is happy to have us as open science, as the open science team, but how many funders do have such experts? We were there to support the staff, understanding open science. And we coordinated together with other departments. We ourselves had to understand the funding streams and what's there, and what's the impact on the funding streams caused by these open science requirements. Also at the policy and the process integration were these challenges that I mentioned, getting the decisions to really implement. And of course, these are around the cultural resistance from the policymakers, from the stakeholders, from the researcher side as well, because there's lack of capacity and skills on open science and fair DMPs. We still need to work on that, building institutional capacity and providing support and capacity building sessions to the researchers. So staff upskilling is essential, but also providing tools and training to researchers. In terms of the DMP adoption, it was really good that we had these guidelines at the European level, the templates, the guidelines from Science Europe, that helped. And we just adapted them to our context. And a major challenge was the timeline, coordination between the project's requirements to the timeline of the funding stream, of the funding phases of our national, this national funding program. So delays appeared there, which didn't depend on us, and we had only 18 months to do all this work. So, but this will be carried on post-project. Thank you. You have a QR code here where you can see the story on our OPUS website. I'm working with a team. I'm with Ioana here, and we are supported by other open science experts in our institution. And also thanks to all the colleagues in the OPUS for the support and mutual learning.